Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm just looking some research here at sexually transmitted diseases that are more or less unique to gay men. I'm going to butcher the names of these diseases. Shigellosis, salmonellosis, we know what salmonella is, where that comes from. Campylobacter enteritis, amoebiasis, giardiasis, enterobiasis, and the more common sexually transmitted diseases like gonorrhea. In one paper I saw that carrier rates were as high potentially as 50%. I mean, who even gets gonorrhea anymore? And then of course you've got HIV, AIDS, and now we've got monkeypox. It's like, dude, how many diseases are hiding up your butt? It's like a magician pulling one of those multicolored scarves out of his sleeve that never ends. This is a genuine public health concern. Again, the levels of promiscuity in the gay community are off the charts. They use PrEP, the anti-HIV medication, but that doesn't cure HIV. What it does is help you live with it, and it cloaks the infection. So there are gay men who are using PrEP preventatively, quote unquote, and they'll have sex with a man who has HIV, and they will contract HIV from him, but because they're using PrEP, it doesn't show up in the tests. So HIV is spreading. HIV is not contained. And new variants of HIV have been detected and have been found that are even more serious and more severe and resistant to treatment. Now, I'm bringing this up because I noticed some time ago in Singapore, when they originally reviewed Section 377A a few years back, I think in 2007 or 2009, they argued against repeal on the basis of, largely on the basis of public health concerns, which are completely valid. But recently, they have sort of changed their stance and argued on the basis of sort of morality and family and these types of things. In other words, they started to adopt a subjective argument and played into the hands of the LGBTQIA++ community, who like to say that the only people who oppose gay sex or who oppose repeal of 377A are religious people. They did that partially. First of all, that's false, but they did that partially because the government of Singapore is secular, and their understanding of secular is that religious people should have no voice in policymaking, and that religious people should have no say in public policy. So they went from a very, very solid argument, which is regarding public health. They went from a very solid argument to a subjective argument that misrepresents genuine opposition to repeal, meaning they were laying the groundwork for repeal some time ago. And again, as I said in my other video on this topic, this isn't because Singapore, the government of Singapore had a change of heart about LGBT. This is for business reasons. They've said as much. If you're bringing in foreign workers and you have to sort out their visas and all of that, it's much easier to bring two gay guys rather than sorting out visas and accommodations for married people with children. There's business reasons behind this. And again, of course, also, they have to placate and appease the West, America, like when Nancy Pelosi came, telling them that businesses should support LGBT. She has no business saying that, but she can say that because Singapore is not in a position to defy the West. Now, again, I'm saying this because I'm not that concerned about Singapore. I'm concerned about the Muslims in Singapore. And in fact, any decent, civilized, moral person in Singapore. But I'm very concerned about Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and all of the Muslim countries. We have to take a stand on this. And we have to prepare for the inevitability of pressures that will come upon our governments in the Muslim world, in Southeast Asia, in Nusantara, pressures to repeal the criminalization of gay sex. This puts our populations in severe, serious health risks. Did you see that the CDC was basically begging gay men to just ease back on the one-night stands that they were having so that they could try to contain the spread of monkeypox. And they successfully got them to be slightly less promiscuous, and it reduced the spread of monkeypox by something like 20%. There's no question about where these diseases are coming from and how they're being spread. There's no question about that. The CDC is saying it. So how can you pretend that this isn't a serious concern to the health of your people? We have to be very serious about this. Jazakumullahu khairan wa assalamu alaikum.